Well, what a week it's been. Um, what a crazy week it's been heading towards Halloween, and me just deciding what I need to watch, what I need to read, to prepare myself for the greatest holiday of the year, which comes and goes so fast. None of my family really take Halloween that seriously. I'm from Western Australia. Shit. When I was a kid, all of our parents used to tell us that's just a fucking American thing and fucking, it's no good for us. It's fucking stupid shit, right? But all us kids that love our horror movies and thought we were missing out on trick-or-treating and all this good stuff, We envied the Americans, right? So, favourite time of the year. I haven't done a review painted up yet, but I probably will. Anyway, quick shout out to my reading group, who at the moment is doing Just After Sunset from Stephen King's book club and movie discussion, lowercase d. Because today I'm going to be doing a short story from Just After Sunset. Now, we did a group read of Needful Things recently, and you can watch my part 1, 2, and 3 of that, and mentioning, things that we discussed in the group. The group moved on very quickly after we finished Needful Things to Stephen King's short story collection from, 2008? Just After Sunset. And I was keen, but I'm going to have to cherry pick. I'm going to have to pick and choose, right? Well, that was my plan at the end of September, start of October. And I read Willa again, the first story in there. And what did it make me want to do? It made me want to review it. But I'm just so busy right now, right? And it didn't feel right, so I thought, no, don't be a lazy motherfucker. Pick a really good story to do from Just After Sunset. And there's some great ones. I've told you this before. Gingerbread Girl, N, just a big capital N. There's some good stuff. And I was going to do N, and I told the reading group I was going to do N. And then I was flipping through N and preparing myself to read it for like the 9th or 10th time. And then the story after N just popped up. And I found the story that I had to do from Just After Sunset. I'm only going to do one Just After Sunset review this October. I might do some down the track, but I've got so much I've got to do. This story is called The Cat from Hell. Now, if you're a King fan or you watch cinema, you'll know there's a movie called Pet Sematary. There's also a book called Pet Sematary. Now, Stephen King, the master of turning anything scary, the master of turning the mundane into the scary, always invites you on a ride to talk about scary pets. And he does it all the time. You know what I mean? Cujo, come on, the scariest rabid dog on the planet. Then you got Pet Sematary. Church is one scary cat. Desperation, his novel is about all sorts of animals going fucking crazy, supernaturally. And then you've got the movie Cat's Eye, where a cat, ties these 3 or 4 stories together to make a motion picture. All this stuff I've seen on YouTube. I've seen people talk about it. But when I come across this little gem in Just After Sunset, here it is, alright, I was like, oh, that's right. The Cat from Hell. Now, if that's not a story for Halloween, I don't know what it is, it's an around the campfire kind of a story, so it's perfect for this review. So let's get into it, okay? There's 3 things I need to say before I tell you the plot of The Cat from Hell. Firstly, Stephen King wrote this short story, 500 pages, 500 words, sorry, Jesus Christ, beep, 500 word short story in 1977 called The Cat from Hell, and he sent it to Cavalier magazine, who published it. Now, but they also published it and with their own on-magazine competition, letting people write in a way to finish the story. Now, I didn't look too much further into it than that. I thought that was very interesting because the thing is, I knew he wrote it when he first started out. I'm pretty sure he was told to omit The Cat from Hell from Night Shift for him to pick something else. And the story he ended up picking was something like The Ledge or One for the Road or something. So he's really happy to swap out The Cat from Hell with that. But in 1991, a George Romero movie and a Stephen King movie came out called Tales from the Dark Side. Now, this is where Liam Cleet comes into it, me. I'm like, what am I, 1991? I'm 7 years old. And we're going to the video store for a new release. And we get this from the shelf because it's got Stephen King's name on it. It's got this big evil gargoyle on the front. Some actors in it, you know. Christian Slater, Blondie, all sorts of people anyway. Steve Buscemi. So we get this movie, right? Me and my cousins, we sit at home and we watch this horror flick. The first story is about a mummy. Cool. Second story is called The Cat from Hell. And it's amazing. It scared the living shit out of us as kids because that little... We might have like seen bits of Pet Sematary, but we hadn't like destroyed it yet. So like The Cat from Hell, and it didn't even come up like that. Like the story just started. We just knew it was that one about the cat. You know, it was the cat horror story of my childhood, over Pet Sematary and over Cat's Eye. It's about a hitman. Okay, and so all right, so here we go. We watched a short movie of it, me and my brothers and my cousins, in 1991. And it was just stuck with me forever what I saw, this evil cat murdering people, right? I haven't told you the plot yet. I know, we're getting to the synopsis. Thing is, and then, all these years later, 2008, Just After Sunset comes out and has a little note before every story letting you know, like, how he got the idea for it, why it mattered to him, why he felt like including it into this particular collection. But The Cat from Hell has got this small little thing, and he says, you know, like, I wrote this in the 70s. It was been adapted, and I thought I'd include it here. And he, you know, he would have touched it up. You can sort of see it's not as just straightforward as a story from Night Shift. It's got the feel of a Just After Sunset story, but you can tell he come up with the idea in the 70s. So here we go. Now let's talk about the story. So I've given you all the background, all the bullshit. But what I do want to tell you is watch Tales from the Dark Side version of it and read this short story because they're both just as good as one another. And I used to think the Tales from the Dark Side version, directed by George Romero, was better. Now I know the Stephen King short story is better because I thought they were so different. And then reading it yesterday, and then reading it again yesterday, slowly, I'm like, oh wow, like this is terrifyingly, horrifyingly gruesome. If that was the movie, it'd probably have a more gruesome ending and more of an effect on me. Anyway, there's a man named Halston, and he's sitting in this big mansion, and he's meeting the owner of the mansion, and the mansion owner, I forget his name, but he's giving Halston a job, because Halston's a hitman. He's been killing people professionally for years and years and years, right? And death is his business. His reflexes are like a cat, and he's the man you want to hire if you need a bullet put in someone and you're rich. So this rich man says, I want you to make a hit. Now this is on the first page. I want you to make a hit. And Holston's sitting there like, yeah. How'd you get my name? How'd you get my number and shit? This guy says a name. Holston's happy with that name. Makes this whole conversation trustworthy. Anyway, if there was a wire, it'd be entrapment. This is all going through Holston's head. He's like, okay, so who do you want me to kill? And he goes, and the old man says, your victim is right behind you. And Holston fucking reflexes like a cat, right? Gun out, gun in the holster, this spring pop, and bang. And it's a cat. But for a split second, there's a cat just standing there, a cat rubbing itself up in the doorway. He was expecting a person, but it was a cheap trick, fair enough. But for that split second, when Holston turns around and points the gun at the cat, he feels like, have we met before? Like, do I know you? Silly, of course, because when he starts realizing what this cat looks like, he's never actually seen a cat that looks like this. It is the perfect split. So right down this, right over its nose, stops at its mouth and begins again under its chin. Black and white. And he's never seen a cat so distinctive. And it's just standing there purring. He's like, cheap trick. Flips his gun back in, like the professional that he is. Sits there calmly and says, yeah, okay, whatever. The old man tells him a story. Begins to tell him a story. Says, listen, that cat has killed 3 people in this house. Halston doesn't really say much in this. Now, I like the way this story is written, and it reminds me of the short film. We meet our 2 people and we have our setting. An old man talking to the hitman next to a fireplace in this big old mansion. Perfect. Now the old man starts to tell him why he's here to kill the cat. Because it killed 3 people in this house. So he starts to tell him, do you know who I am? And the hitman says, yeah, I've heard about you. He goes, right, I'm from something pharmaceuticals. 40 years ago, we made all our money from this certain drug. It's like a painkiller, tranquilizer, mild hallucinogen for people who are terminal. But our main test subjects for the entire project were exclusively cats. And Holston says, so how many cats did you kill in that amount of time? It's like, works out to be about 6,000 cats a year this company was murdering. This old man retired, made his fortune, lives in this big mansion with his sister and this chick he used to bang. They're all old people with a servant. One day, a cat rocks up, like 30 years or 20 years after the experiments have stopped. And, just meowing around, and he doesn't like them, right? The old man never liked them, thinks they stink, disease-ridden things with fleas and fur, and, kill the fucking thing, right? Starts leaving out poisoned bowls of food for it, but it ignores the poisoned food. Eventually, one of the sisters gets quite fond of it, and it moves into the mansion, and this old man just hates it. One morning, they get up, and his sister is dead at the bottom of the stairs. The cat has got itself twisted up in this old lady's ankles when she was going to give it a feed. Oh, who's a fucking hungry cat, right? And the cat just, and makes it look like an accident, of course. And the thing is, for now, the hitman's thinking, it probably is an accident. What, you think, this cat's come back, like the spirit of every dead cat you murdered to get revenge on you, old man? While he's thinking this and the old man's telling him the story, the cat suddenly comes around, climbs up on the couch and sits on the hitman's lap. Automatically, the hitman just starts patting the cat. And the cat starts purring and settling in. And all of a sudden, the hitman's listening to this. The old man tells a story about how the other woman was killed by the cat suffocating her, sitting on its chest. Then, when he finally got the last straw, the old man, it's the final straw. So he orders his servant, his houseman, I forget his name, to put the cat in a basket and take it and kill it and get it put down, for fuck's sake. Before this servant reaches the veterinarian's office, the car is driven at 60 miles per hour into a bridge abutment and dies. 3-4 days later, the cat comes back. Now, a cat would probably die in that kind of an automobile accident. So the old man's trying to get the point across that, listen, this isn't no normal cat. And the hitman, he's sitting there patting this cat. And he's listening to this old man. He says, are you telling me that, what, it's a cat from, it's a hell cat? And the old man's laugh as much as you want, but precisely. And then all of a sudden, the hitman just goes like this, grabs the cat. And the cat's under his hand like a fucking lightning ball of fuzz. He's like, I could do it right now. I could just snap its fucking neck and we'd be done. And and the old man's like, no, don't do it here. Take it away, kill it, bury it, bring me back its tail, so I can throw it on the fucking fire and watch it burn. And now we snap forward, right? We snap forward to the hitman taking the cat away. And he's double bagged this cat in 2 big plastic bags, a sack, a thing, and it's in this box. And he takes a slow drive because the hitman had to drive quite a far way to get to this rich man's fucking place. And so it takes hours and hours, and he's driving through the early hours of the morning. Let's say 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning when he finally comes across this field. All of a sudden, just out of nowhere, and he's really letting his car go now, he's opening it up. We got country roads now. And the cat just wanders across his vision. And of course, all he's been thinking about is this cat. He's been thinking about what the old man said. He's been thinking that it kills. He's like, you know what? I will give the old man the tail, but I'm going to knock it on, I'll kill it, and I'll bury it respectfully. Because the old man's bonkers. And you know what? Cats are just like me. The hitman of the animal world. Super cool, but then all of a sudden, imagine this hitman and the cat that he's just been thinking about, that he's sure is secure right there, is just walking on the dash and goes like this, meow, bats in his face. He's like, fuck off, right? And all of a sudden, they'd crash. When they have crash, the entire big engine of this fucking Hitman's V8 lands on his fucking lap, and his fucking bottom half is just broken. And this thing has got barbed wire wrapped around it, just sitting in a field. Now, he obviously blacks out, because this is the end of the story, and it's so good. The sun is coming up on this field in the middle of nowhere. Like, the fucking hitman wakes up, and he's like, fuck, I can't feel my legs. Try his hands. No, he can't move them yet, but like there's a buzz there. Like, if maybe in 20 minutes, half an hour, if he keeps doing this, they might come alive again. And then you can hear the purring. And the cat's there. And then the cat goes for his face, right? But the hitman is clever, right? He bites the cat. Gives it a good old chomp, and the cat takes off and looks at him like, ooh, fuck you, you're a hard one. It's in this big fight with the cat goes into the back seat, and then all of a sudden the cat's quiet for just the longest time, and all of a sudden the hitman just doesn't like the fact that he can't see the cat. So and the thing is, what's awesome is his hands are starting to wake up. He's like, yep, a little bit more, alright, and he's talking to the cat too. He's like, you know what, give me 10 minutes and I'm killing you. Go on, escape while you can. Get out the window, take off, because I'm fucking killing you. All of a sudden he turns his head and looks right into the baleful, burning, hate-filled eyes of this fucking cat. And then at that moment, he realises he's not dealing with a normal cat. Maybe the old man was right. Maybe this is the cat from hell, because it just gets on his ears and he's trying to bite. He's getting nothing but hair. Eventually it goes straight for his nuts, and it does it like on purpose. Like, it waits for him to wait, and then it goes straight for his nuts and starts tearing in there. He's like, opens his mouth to scream, and the cat aims directly for the open mouth and starts forcing its way into this man's fucking mouth. Now, Stephen King really takes his time with this bit, because we got time period. Now, in this ending, we have to watch this poor man suffocate and die while this cat forces its entire body further and further down the small man's fucking esophagus. And then all of a sudden, you know, he's drowning in blood, and that's it, he's dead. Hitman's gone. Halston, goodbye, rest in peace. And all you see is this black and white tail coming out of this man's mouth like this. And then that too disappears. And the sun comes out. Now, the real ending is a farmer comes up. He's driving past. No, actually, is he a farmer? He lives in the area, he's putting his ute in for something. You know, get the inspection sticker looked at or something. And he notices the big fucking V8 in the field wrapped up in barbed wire. He has a look inside, he's like, ooh, bloody hell. All of a sudden, as he reaches over to see if the man covered in blood is alive, the man's stomach starts twitching like this. And the farmer looks down, and then he realizes there's a hole in this man's stomach just above or below the belly button, where the cat has crawled all the way in, eaten his insides, and chewed a hole right through his stomach. Now, as the farmer realizes this, in all his horrifying not to mention the way King writes this, you can tell it was touched up by older King, but young King wrote this, so it's fucking horrible. All of a sudden, the cat comes out of the small chewed hole in the man's stomach, like the way, could you imagine a black and white cat covered in blood, coming out of a hole out of a human stomach, and then in the sun, stretching, you know, the way cats do. And then all of a sudden it takes off through the field. And the farmer tells a reporter later, that thing's really moving, like it had unfinished business. It's come back to get the old man, see? The old cat murdering bastard, the last one. And I don't doubt it finds him. Now, in the movie, Tales from the Dark Side, the man ends up staying the night in the castle, and the old fella takes off. And the hitman slowly, as the night progresses, he's drinking booze, he's walking around, the cat's attacking him, and eventually the cat does do the same thing and crawls straight down his throat, eats his inside, and as the clock strikes 12, his stomach starts fucking doing this, and the cat just fucking comes out. And now the thing is, when the cat comes out, the old man comes back. This is the movie version. The old man rocks up in his wheelchair to the mansion as the cat comes out the mouth, runs down the hallway, and that's the end of the old man, and that's the end of that segment. I'll do a review on Tales from the Dark Side one day, because there's one other movie to talk about, not to mention the backstory with Blondie. But those 2 different versions of The Cat from Hell are so worth your time. And I'm glad I picked it for this Halloween episode. I mean, I will review N because it's some scary H.P. Lovecraft, Stephen King shit, but I felt this was appropriate. I thought this was fucking perfect for this year Halloween. This year has been a fucking cat from hell, hasn't it? Something that really got down your fucking throat, mate. Your cunt insides out. I think so. It's been that way for me, but you know what? We keep trudging on. Just look out for them scary black and white cats, especially if Stephen King wrote about them, because they'll kill your ass. Anyway, next week, I'm not even going to tell you what it's going to be. Stay tuned. And listen, thank you, my subscribers, for sticking around this long. You know, I hate taking a week to give you content, but I care about every single one of you that watches my channel. So leave a comment, tell me what you want to read, tell me what you want me to watch and review, because I'll give you my opinion on it. Now, please, watch some great movies, read some even better fucking books, and don't take any shit from anyone. Happy Halloween.